Running a subwoofer from an aux is a common practice in live sound production. When a subwoofer is run from a separate output than the main left and right speakers, it gives the mix engineer more control over the specific content that is sent to the sub, as well as independent processing and level control between the top speakers and the subwoofer. By customizing the subwoofer mix and maintaining separate level control, the system can perform more efficiently, and you'll oftentimes achieve a better, more professional sound. This is another application that works best with the aux set to post fader. To do this, navigate to your aux and press the main output fader. Select Setup, and under aux Pickoff, press Post Fader. Now decide which instruments in your mix to send to the subwoofer. Kick drum and bass guitar primarily. It is not uncommon to also send large floor toms and maybe the keyboard, especially if the keyboardist is doing left-handed bass or if low-frequency synth sounds are part of the act. If you play backing tracks or need to play break music through the PA, you'll also want some of that in the sub as well. The idea is to only push sources with low frequency through the sub. The lead singer or a guitar player aren't producing any frequencies that low. By keeping the subwoofer mix free of non-low frequency content, the mix will sound cleaner and your equipment will perform better. Once you've determined which instruments to include in the subwoofer mix, bring those faders up to unity in the aux mix as a starting point. Then, use the aux channel faders to boost or cut the channels you're sending into the sub. You don't have to have the same blend of, let's say, kick, drum, and bass in the subwoofers that you do in the mains. The aux master fader can now be used to balance the subwoofer and the mains. None of this works very well unless the subs are only producing lows and the mains are only producing highs. So there has to be a crossover somewhere in the system. A crossover acts as a kind of frequency traffic cop. It routes all of the low frequencies to the subwoofers and the high frequencies to the mains. Many powered loudspeakers already have crossovers built in, but if your subs and mains don't, TouchMix can handle that. Open the aux output section and touch PEQ at the top of the screen. Press the High Cut button to activate the high cut filter. Use the frequency knob to adjust the frequency of the crossover point. Typically, this is somewhere between 80 and 120 Hz. We prefer the lower crossover points, but consult your loudspeaker manufacturer for the recommended crossover frequencies. Now that we've got the aux itself set up, we'll need to also apply a low cut filter on the main output to complete the crossover. Navigate to the main mix. Open the main output channel and select PEQ. Here, we're going to activate the low cut filter. Use the frequency knob to adjust the filter to the frequency used in the high cut filter on the aux output for the sub. This completes the crossover. Now we've got our main control for the top speakers and the aux output control for the sub. We can adjust the volume ratio between our top speakers and our subwoofer to taste. Taking it a step further, we can set up a DCA that will give us single fader control of our entire system. Press Home to get back to the main faders. Select DCA groups at the top of the screen. Open the DCA you want to use and assign the subwoofer aux by pressing the associated assignment button. Now, assign the main fader. It's also a good idea to label the DCA accordingly. Now, from the DCA fader screen, you can control the entire system output with one fader. All of this can be saved to a scene so you can recall this setup whenever you need to. Pretty simple, right? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.